I was standing in the ER, holding my right hand, the hand that had performed over 500 successful heart surgeries, wrapped in a bloody towel. A drunk driver had T-boned my car an hour ago. The adrenaline was fading, and the reality was setting in. I needed a specialist reconstructive surgery within 24 hours, or I would never hold a scalpel again. My insurance was tied up in a bureaucratic freeze due to the accident investigation. I needed $50,000 cash up front to fly in the best microsurgeon in the state. I called my father. He was at a charity gala. I could hear the clinking of champagne glasses in the background. "Dad," I said, my voice shaking, "it's my hand. I need a loan. I'll pay you back with interest." He sighed, the kind of sigh you give a child who dropped an ice cream cone. "Julian," he said, "we just closed on the summer house in the Hamptons. The liquidity is tight. Can't you just let it heal naturally? Maybe look into teaching?" My mother chimed in on the speaker. "Everything happens for a reason, honey. Maybe this is the universe telling you to slow down." I hung up. They didn't care about my career. They cared that their ATM was temporarily out of order. They loved the prestige of having a surgeon's son, but they hated the cost of maintaining one. I sat on that hospital bed and made a choice. I sold my watch. I sold my car. I maxed out 3 credit cards. I flew the specialist in myself. The surgery was a success, but the recovery was brutal. I was out of work for 6 months. No income, just debt. My family didn't visit. They were too busy renovating the summer house. My sister, who had never worked a day in her life, posted photos of herself by the new pool, captioned, "Living my best life." I lived in a studio apartment the size of a closet, doing rehab exercises until my fingers bled. I ate instant noodles while they ate caviar. But they forgot one thing. I wasn't just a surgeon, I was an investor. Years ago, before medical school, I had bought a small stake in a biotech startup. I had forgotten about it. 3 months into my rehab, I got an email. The startup had been acquired by a pharmaceutical giant. My small stake? It was now worth $4.2 million. I stared at the screen. I didn't scream. I didn't call them. I went to the mirror, looked at my scarred hand, and smiled. I hired a forensic accountant instead of a party planner. "Find out everything about my parents' finances," I told him. 2 weeks later, he handed me a dossier. It was a disaster. The Hamptons house, leveraged to the hilt. My father's business, bleeding cash. My sister's lifestyle, funded by high-interest loans against the family estate. They weren't rich. They were drowning in debt and wearing designer clothes to hide the watermarks. The bank was quietly shopping their debt around, looking for a private buyer before foreclosing. I bought it. All of it. I set up a shell company named Ouroboros Holdings. I bought the mortgage on their main house, the lien on the Hamptons villa, and the business loans. I was now their bank. I was their landlord. And they had no idea. I played the long game. I let them miss a payment, then 2. My company sent a polite letter. "We understand financial difficulties. We are willing to restructure." My father, arrogant as ever, took the bait. He signed a new agreement. He didn't read the fine print. The fine print said that upon the 3rd missed payment, the lender had the right to immediate seizure of all assets, including personal property. Thanksgiving arrived. They invited me. Not because they missed me, but because they wanted to show off. I arrived in a taxi wearing a simple jacket. My hand was fully healed, but I kept it in my pocket. They were celebrating. "We found this amazing new investor," my father bragged, carving the turkey. "Soft touch. They clearly understand who we are." My sister laughed. "They're probably desperate for our business." "Julian," my mother said, looking at my jacket with disdain, "are you still living in that apartment? We really need to find you a nice girl to take care of you." I took a sip of water. "Actually," I said, "I have some news." My phone buzzed. It was the automated notification. "Payment missed, 03. "I'm moving," I said. "Oh?" my father asked, uninterested. "Where to here?" I said. The room went quiet. "What do you mean here?" my sister asked. I pulled a document from my jacket. "Ouroboros Holding," I read aloud. "That's me. I own the mortgage. I own the business debt. Ago, and I own this house." My watch. My father turned purple. "Is this a joke?" "You didn't read the contract, Dad," I said calmly. "Clause 4, Section B. Immediate seizure. I stood up. You wouldn't, my mother whispered. We're family. Family? I repeated. Family is who shows up when you're bleeding. You bought a summer house. I pointed to the door. You have 30 days to vacate. But the Hamptons house? That's gone today. My team is changing the locks as we speak. They screamed. They cried. They threatened to sue. I just walked out to the driveway. A black car pulled up. My new driver. As I got in, I looked back at the house I grew up in. I didn't feel sad. I felt like a surgeon who had finally cut out the rot. They thought my hands were only good for saving lives. They forgot they were also good for closing deals.